Pre-show. Just getting everybody time to get in here. Share these links real quick. So y'all gonna hear some things. I'm not gonna see everything, but y'all gonna hear some things. Right, time to get in here. It's the pre-show. I pre-show. Okay. What the heck? There was a network error. Oh, it must have been with the player. I'm trying to share stuff. Share. Damn it. Okay. Let's see if that works. There we go. All right. Hit mute on that. Go ahead, share this out. We haven't officially started yet. I'm just getting everything out. There we go. This straight. I don't know what this is. Give me that. There we go. All right, folks that want to tune in there. And then for folks that want to tune in on YouTube, that should pop up in a sec. There we go. Looks like we're live and ready to go. And go ahead, do some sharing. Already got a like. That's what I'm talking about. They like before they even see it. I could be garbage tonight for all I know. And people already liked it. Already got your like, just like EA. Already got your business. Sorry, the game's trash, but you paid for it already. No take backs. No refunds. Just like IMV Gaming. Jokes. Yeah, I figured the twist would be for this season, for season 3, to have a pre-show. You just hear random shit. Oh, not yet. Let's see. Share that. Team. Oh, I didn't even have to do all that. What the heck? What the hell am I thinking? Oh, being stupid here. Let me do it this way. There we go. It's coming on both. What time is it? Good, I got a couple minutes. So, oops. Something stupid. There we go. All right, there we go. So we got them both out. Ready to go. Okay, so let's cut that down. Okay. We can pop this out. Okay, good. I kind of figured. I saw your message for a second while I was like flipping through mad windows. Pop out that chat. Okay, that hits there. Pause that so we don't have to have that go. I got the chat for Twitch ready to go. Okay. Yeah, less than a minute. Before we get started, let me look at here. Okay, so there we go. All right. That's funny because as always, I'm experiencing a little bit and of one of the topics that we're going to talk about. So that's perfectly natural. I have it before every football game I've ever played in, every baseball game, and so on. But of course, we'll talk about that later. And we're about to get rolling here. Let me just make sure I'm set up here. Okay. Oh yeah, my chat's on the left side on this, so I'm not even gonna be looking at that. All right. We are about ready to go. Hey, what's up, folks? It's your boy DJ81, also known as EVO325 on Twitch, as I'm simulcasting through both Twitch and YouTube. So we already got people commenting. Bill's already here. This was for like the pre-show and whatnot. So we can go ahead and get his comments out the way. So he was here for a second. Yeah, it was him about that mysterious like. And then Spec is like, I don't know what the fuck happened, but I'm just here to vibe, bro. And what is that supposed to even mean? You lurk? Is that vibe? Lurk? Whatever. I appreciate it, though. And Bill's also simulcasting from Twitch. So he's simul-watching. That's weird. But anyway, so welcome to episode 22. It's kind of like Pooh, I know it means you care. You just know you catch these jokes. That's all you need to know. So welcome to episode 22. As I get sidetracked, as I always do when I introduce the show, another Wednesday night, and we're about to get into it. So first, let's take care of some admin. So I am, as the host of What the Fuck Just Happened, am also a featured panelist on the show First and Frame Rates. I do a show with VF, Bills, and myself. We go live on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Currently, it's just myself and VF. Bills is taking a vacation, sabbatical, whatever you want to call it. He is taking a break. And it's kind of similar to what it was before, just taking a step back, regain the energy, and we'll be back later on. So whenever he comes back is when he comes back. He's like Gandalf the Wizard. I arrive precisely when I deem to arrive, if I do. But so we go live at 8 p.m. I actually solidified the time because we've been going at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesdays and Thursdays for a while now. So we go live on VF's channel Tuesdays and Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And like I mentioned earlier, for those on YouTube that want to find me on Twitch, you can find me EVO325. For those on Twitch that want to find me on YouTube, or those that just want to find me on YouTube, it's DJ81, my real name, Derek Jordan. I'm not afraid of letting out my government name. That's all you get. Half you motherfuckers don't even know when my birthday was. It already passed, by the way. And most of y'all already wish me happy birthday. So it's not a shot at any of y'all. It's just saying that, most people, especially on Twitter, I didn't get no birthday wish on Twitter at all. Fuckers. But but if you want to find me on there, it's DJ1. I'm looking for all the smoke. So, and then if you want to catch any of my articles, I haven't written in a while, kind of like the title of the last one I did. You can catch me over on my blog site at dj81.org. It also has the video playlist, YouTube version video playlist of What the Fuck Just Happened. So you'll catch all your favorite episodes from episode 1 to episode when this finishes. You'll have episode 22 all ready to go on my site on dj81.org. So, and then as always, if you want to, don't have to, I'm gonna just put that right there. And we're going to ask the eternal question that I've now been asking myself every time I come on here or whenever I do a video, in which I last did a video that was uploaded Saturday morning, and it was about MLB The Show and Game Pass. So the question is, why are we here? Why am I here? Why did I decide to go live again tonight on a Wednesday while AEW is going on, and I know Bills is going to update me on that, and I haven't looked at the comments yet, so I'm purposely avoiding the comments right now. As soon as I'm done this, I will check out the comments. So hold tight. So why are we here? Well, first, I definitely want to talk about Godzilla versus Kong. My impressions with spoilers, because at this point, if you haven't seen Godzilla versus Kong, you're behind. It's too late. There's no like non-spoiler coming from me. Kong got his ass whooped. That's all you. It's pretty much all you need to know. But I will just give you further details about that. And then an idea that was brought up by Bills, which I think is a very real and interesting topic to bring forth, because I have seen other people kind of talk about it. I'm not saying that people are skirting around it, but we're going to talk about it. And that is social anxiety. The idea, not the idea, but the fear of being either out in public, fear of going out, maybe canceling dates because of it, maybe, not going to, in some cases, not going to work. How, disabling this disorder can be. So, in some cases, it's minor with people. In some cases, it's really major. So people get to the point with this where they need an intervention. So we definitely are going to talk about that. Now let's catch up on the comments, because I know I tend to take comments for granted. And let's see what we got going on. Let's see. But I shared a comment of you on YouTube, so that's false, sir. You may be on Twitch now, but I said you were simul watching, so you had to do that at least at one point. So, and then Pooh's like, that's all there is. He was finishing up whatever rant he was talking about. I'm surprised he's not writing in all caps. Let's see. Wow. Of course, he corrected himself afterwards. Let's see. Oh, he did write in caps. We didn't know it was your birthday. Let me see. 2019, you guys celebrated my birthday. 2018, 2017, 2016, 2015, 2014, 2013. Ever since I've been on YouTube, you guys have known it was my birthday. Don't act surprised. Just saying. You already wished me happy birthday anyway. If you were there last, what was it? Last Thursday, or was it 2 Thursdays ago? I don't know. It seems like it's been forever. If you were there back on the 25th when we did an episode of First and Frame Rates, you guys got a chance to wish me happy birthday. So I definitely appreciate the birthday wishes that were there. But don't lie and say you didn't know. You can, and you know how some of you guys are lying? Because on Twitter, let's see, I know most of you guys are not my Facebook friends, but you are my followers, and I follow you guys on Twitter. And if you ever go to my profile, whenever a certain day pops up, you see balloons. I guess nobody wanted to visit my page on that day, did they? Okay. So, and I'm here because I'm not on Tuesdays, and wow. So he's here basically because he doesn't want to be fined, but he probably will be fined because he is here. So that's typically how that works. So let's, I'm trying to figure out, do I want to share an update? Because we did have an update, probably be fined $50 for not showing. I wish we got 50. Poo pay up. So do I want to, let's see, I'm just gonna leave that one alone. Gonna leave it alone. Gonna There we go. Anyway, all right. So, do I want to share an update? Do I want to share the update with Deshaun Watson? Nah, we're probably gonna leave that alone. I know the Nats, they opened up their season yesterday. They beat the Braves, but they managed to get swept in a doubleheader, which was interesting because they went each the doubleheader. The rule they put in place for the doubleheader is that they are officially 7 innings. So the Braves won both games today. It was definitely a pitching duel in the last one for the day. Oh yeah, the update is what I saw on Twitter, and that was involving actually the Houston Astros. So now that the fans are in the stands, now they can take their shit out on the Houston Astros. And Dusty Baker with the most brain dead statement I have ever heard in my entire life. Now, Dusty Baker used to be manager of the San Francisco Giants, also used to be a manager of the Washington Nationals. Now, I wish he had never been fired, but since we won the World Series, I'm kind of glad he did get fired. So, so for a person that wasn't involved in the situation with the Houston Astros to come in and say that they were properly, that they already paid the price for the scandal is the most tone deaf, idiotic. He's talking like this with his hands folded, talking some nonsense, talking about, well, if you live it, people in glass houses shouldn't cast stones. So I'm like, well, dude, you shouldn't even say, you really can't say shit. You weren't there. And from the outside, you probably were just as mad at us. Now you're getting paid. Now you're cooning for the Houston Astros. Now all of a sudden, it's like, oh, they paid the price. No, they didn't. Their World Series title is still sitting in the organization front office, isn't it? Yeah, you get to look at it, but you didn't get a chance to win it. But we did get a chance to win it and expose that team. It was us. It was also the Dodgers. It was also the Yankees. It was a team effort. But at the end of the day, we did it without you. So fuck you, Dusty ass bastard. But anyway, all right, so enough about that. So we are here to talk about, let me just go to it real quick. Godzilla versus King Kong. And let me switch up because, is it here? There we go. The real Clash of the Titans. You got Godzilla versus King Kong. Well, actually Kong, because he didn't win the crown in this one. So Bills has already seen the movie by now, and obviously I've seen the movie, and a lot of other people have seen the movie. If you haven't seen the movie, and of course I have it down below in parentheses, spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie and are looking forward to seeing the movie, leave now, or just mute me and still watch me, so I can at least still get the numbers. But anyway. So Godzilla vs. Kong. So my impressions, this is not a full review, so you're not going to hear every single bit of detail. There's already a person that I follow on YouTube that's got that all covered. And I will send you her link when I'm done with this podcast for tonight, because I think she does a great job. She goes by the name of Altori. Hopefully I said that correctly, but I just randomly just happened to run into her. She's all over, like very knowledgeable about the whole monsterverse as far as King Kong, Godzilla, Mechagodzilla, Ghidorah, Mothra. I'm a little bit knowledgeable about it myself, but I'm not as knowledgeable. And I'd rather, if you want to know about the background of a lot of these titans, kaiju as they call them, I would recommend you go to her. She's really into it, and she actually does some references to some current culture things that actually make you laugh a bit. And one of them caught me off guard, especially let's go right to it. The funniest moment of this movie was when Godzilla is just spamming the atomic breath just everywhere, like everywhere. He's like ah, like that's what he's doing the whole most of the time. And Kong is just trying to get out the way. He's trying to jump out the way. He thinks he's in the clear, and then boom, hits him right in the back, and he's flying everywhere. He's flying everywhere, lands on the ground, crashes a couple buildings. Then they show an extreme close up of Godzilla, and it zooms in closer. You can tell. You don't even have to pay attention that this lizard smiled and laughed. And the funny thing that this YouTube Altori, she references the old Dave Chappelle gag, "Gotcha, bitch." That's basically what that reminded me of when I seen it happen. And like that to me was the funniest. I'm like, that was the funniest moment of that whole movie. This movie is action packed. I wouldn't say necessarily from start to finish. And apparently, compared to the other movies, this had more mainstream action, as this movie was focused on these two, and also an enemy at the end with the ambush, attack from the outside interference, which was from the humans and from this Mecha Godzilla character. Son of a bitch, this comes out of nowhere. The really amazing thing about this movie is that the detail of okay, obviously technology has improved, CGI has improved, but the amazing detail of these titans, kaiju, to be able to express themselves without saying a word. I'm like, it's kind of like if you understand gorillas in the wild, and see, lizards is kind of different because they don't have their facial expressions that they put on Kong. I mean, not Kong, but Godzilla. They put on Godzilla, and you could tell what's going on inside their noggin when they do these close-ups. You can tell when Godzilla and Kong are fighting each other on the aircraft carrier. And it was a specific part where Kong climbs on top of the aircraft carrier and looks down into the water. Then all of a sudden the water is like lighting up in blue, and Kong's face like, oh fuck. And then he jumps, and then the atomic breath out the water into the sky. And it was just like every moment that Godzilla, you saw a close-up of Godzilla, either before he launched his atomic breath or as he was searching for Godzilla, as Godzilla was searching for Kong after all that fighting was done, was like, that bitch better not be moving. I swear I killed him. I almost drowned him earlier. So everything was getting wrecked. Buildings were getting wrecked. Planes were getting thrown. Even with the pilots in them, I'm shocked that the pilots were able to eject in those conditions. Like Kong literally picked up a F-22 Raptor and threw it at Godzilla like that was gonna do anything. The pilot was like, eject. The thing's doing a tailspin and he's able to eject. Under normal conditions, that's killing a pilot. There's no way a pilot can eject, but you know what? Gotta have some people survive because, a whole aircraft carrier was taken down, and that's like, thousands and thousands of people that probably died in that scene. But, everyone got mad when it was Superman and Man of Steel, him and General Zod destroying the whole city. Oh my God, I can't believe all those people died. But they watched Godzilla and Kong like, yeah, that's right, kill them all. That's basically how it went. So Godzilla beat the shit out of Kong. I don't care what anybody says. And, I know, what is it? Hard 8 Times, he did his impression. He believes there were no 3 rounds. I agree for the fact that Godzilla won like running away, but there were 3 rounds. Come on. 3 separate parts of this fight took place. Nigga, if you can't count, that's your problem. That's not mine. There were 3 rounds. Like, especially when you got one of the human characters talking about this round went to Kong. Come on, do your math. But yeah. So Godzilla took the first round. Kong took the second round because when you okay, after you knock somebody down, after they done sprayed spammed their like breath everywhere, and then all of a sudden you knock them back because you're carrying this axe all of a sudden, and you're the one standing afterwards, and you're able to beat your chest like, and he fades into the dust, but you don't see Godzilla. Godzilla's like looking for Kong in the beginning of the third round. Like, where's this dude at? Where'd he go? And Kong standing on top of the building, like, watch this. Throws the axe, hits the building. Godzilla's like, oh, you're over there. No, Kong just jumps on his back. But that's when it all went downhill for Kong, because obviously, Godzilla knows how to injure people and injure things. He took Kong and tossed his ass around like a rag doll, separating his shoulder and caving in this man's chest. Felt like seeing the Charlie Murphy stories with I forgot the characters, the guy's name. Damn, I can't. Somebody tell me the artist's name, because Charlie Murphy had did the stories on, and he did that one where he kicked him in his side. He kicked him in his chest. He was like, actually, I'm bleeding inside my chest, and it kind of reminded me of that moment because Godzilla was on his back. Kong was on his back. Godzilla had his foot on his chest. He already scratched out his chest, so he was already bleeding there. And then they had this screaming match at the end. And you know what that screaming match reminded me of? You guys ever see Bloodsport? And Jean-Claude Van Damme's character, Frank Dux, is he has Bolo Young's character. And this is at the end of the fight. And he puts him in this chokehold, but he could snap his neck at any moment. But at this point, he's partially blind, so he's like looking wildly, and he's like yelling at Bolo Young's character to say it, just say it. He was like, say it! And then Bolo Young's like, Mate, and then he lets him go. That's what the ending of that fight was to me. It was Godzilla just saying, look, you're done. I don't need to kill you, but if I have to, I will. You're done for. Just tap. And then he was like, say it. And then finally Kong gave in. He said it. And then the gesture that Godzilla gave Kong after he lifted off of him was like, good shit. All right. You good. All right. And then he starts walking off. And then obviously the plot that unfolded with Mechagodzilla, all of a sudden Mechagodzilla is just kicking everybody's ass, smashing Godzilla everywhere. And Godzilla almost died. And then Kong comes in after being revived by an AED spaceship, AED defibrillator spaceship that the humans were using to travel to a place called Hollow Earth. You can go research that. That was part of the plot of the movie. It was a big plot of Kong's story, but you can bypass that. If you're in for the action, you're just going to watch the fight between Kong and Godzilla, and then the extra fight at the end with Mechagodzilla versus in a handicap match versus Godzilla and Kong. So, and Kong winds up dealing the killing blow, but what happens is that after they struggle for a little bit, Kong gets the axe. He tries to fight off Mecha. Mecha is still able to fend him off because that axe ain't doing shit. And then Godzilla breathes life into the axe, and then all of a sudden he's able to one-hit this dude several times, chopping off limbs, and then he's able to just decapitate this dude and then hold up his head like, I won. Yeah, you beat Mechagodzilla, but you couldn't beat real Godzilla. And matter of fact, you had hope. So, and of course, at the end, they kind of dap each other up. Godzilla was like, "You really want to keep this going?" Kong drops the axe. It was like, "You know what? I'm good. I'm good. You got me. You're the king." Godzilla's like, "You damn right," and he walked off. But he walked off like, "That nigga almost got me." But he knows. So that was pretty much. I'm like, I was caught up in that part of the movie. Obviously there was a plot to this movie on the human side. There was more of the human plot in prior MonsterVerse movies. There's actually 4 of them if you think about it. Yeah, Godzilla came out in 2014. You had Skull Island with Kong. Then you had Godzilla, King of the Monsters, and then you had this one, Godzilla versus Kong. But funny thing is, chronological order dictates that you watch Skull Island first. Didn't know that. I had to go research that. So you have to watch Skull Island first, then go through the Godzilla movies, and you'll just see Godzilla back to back to back, and you'll see the progression of how they did the movie based on that. So obviously, Bills has an opinion on Mecha Godzilla, Mecha bitch nigga. So and Bills was always also like Godzilla ambushed him after he got his ass kicked. Yeah, that's what happened. It definitely went 3 rounds. 3-round fight. Godzilla 2, Kong 1. So I definitely recommend this movie. It is an instant classic. Definitely recommend watching this movie. It's an instant classic. I had to go back and watch the other movies because obviously I came in on this late, but no, I grew up watching Godzilla. I was always Team Godzilla from the very beginning. So when I saw this movie, and it's funny, let me tell you a story. When I first attempted to watch this movie, it was late at night. I fell asleep. I woke up. Kong was already dead, and Godzilla was getting his ass whipped by Mecha Godzilla. I was like, oh, that's how this. I was like, how did he kill him like that? He just left him laying there. So when I went back and watched the rest of the movie and stuff like that, that's when it was just. So Bills was like, Mecha Godzilla was walking Godzilla around. He was hitting his head on the turnbuckles. You know the detail. See, the motion capture of this fight was crazy. If you noted all the details, like obviously when you motion capture, choreograph and motion capture these fights, it's obviously there's 2 people that are fighting. It's not like back in the day where they're in the suits and they're fighting each other and they kind of have like that girl fight that happens in the school when I grew up, where it's just like and the silly stuff. Like there's a moment in the fight, a classic thing back in the day with Kong and Zilla, was the fact that Kong stuck a tree down his throat. So they actually brought that in and modernized it, and it was Kong's axe. The butt end of it, he stuck down Zilla's throat. So I thought that was a funny gesture, and I know other people have noted it as well. So I'm not the only one that picked up on that. But the motion capture and the choreograph of the fights was crazy. Like if you checked out the details, like when Godzilla was getting dog walked by Mecha Godzilla, you see Godzilla reach like, dude, what are you doing? Like that little detail just lets you know that they did a good job. They really did a good job. Like you've seen basically just the overall notion of having human qualities on giant titans, to facial expressions, to the way they move. Of course, Godzilla versus Kong. Godzilla has the advantage because that goddamn tail. That tail and that atomic breath, I think if Godzilla doesn't have those 2 qualities, but doesn't have a tail, nor that atomic breath, he will probably get beat by Kong easily. But Godzilla he's the king of the monsters for a reason. So I have no complaints. I think it was a good movie. One human character to note, and actually she was key to the movie, was the little girl. She was the center of the She was like the muse, and me and Bill's talked about this before. She was like the muse representing Kong. So anything, and plus, we already know that it's scientifically proven that you can teach uh, gorillas and monkeys sign language. So they brought that to the fold. So Kong could actually speak just through sign language, but this kid, she's actually deaf herself. Like in real life, she's deaf. Um, they would just sign to each other. So that's how he could communicate with her. They had this connection, this like telekinetic bond. So she basically held she was basically the glue that held the connection between Kong and the humans, and also the plot started out as Kong is brought to whatever, I don't care. Bills is correcting me on the pronunciation. Muse is pronounced Muse. Okay, Muse. So yeah, she did a good job. I'm like, there were a couple of instances where she almost drowned when the aircraft carrier was turned upside down. Kong was almost drowned. So so anybody who has seen this movie has been watching this, been listening in. What are your guys' thoughts? Like, what I know, Bills has been filtering his. Really? How about I pronounce news? News. How about that? It sounds French. So, so anybody in the chat that's listening in, if you have any comments besides Bill's, because I know there was a couple of you in here. I know there was only a couple of you. There was like 6 people in here at one point. Where did everybody go? Anyway, all right. So there we go. That was Godzilla versus Kong, instant classic. So let's switch back. And we are going to hit on. Let me just take a deep breath. Oh, yeah, I forgot to. In all this excitement, I forgot my Zoe. I've been drinking Dwayne Johnson's energy drink. It's very delicious. I've been trying out energy drinks. As you already know, I'm still using Rogue, but I wanted to try this out and see how this tastes. And this is really good. Hey, what's up, Tony? I see you. But just to let The Rock know, yes, this is a go. So drink your Zoe and let's go. That's his saying. So I'm just repeating it. That's what he does. I actually did my little thing just before that. So that's that. All right. So let me bring it back up. So we are, because I had this up for a second. So, all right. This one kind of hits home, and I figure it hits everybody in a way, whether it be a minor form of it or whether it's a debilitating thing for you. It could be very traumatic to most people. That's why, I think when you look at society as it is today, that technology is helping a lot of folks deal with this, especially people who go to work, people who feel like they are out of places and they just have this feeling. It's like a gut punch, like ill feeling, like nervousness to the point where they feel like they need to get away from it to relax and chill. A lot of times people cancel dates because of it. People don't go out to restaurants and stuff like that people get sick at places where a lot of large people going to work. Some people may call off from work because they need a mental health break, and sometimes it could be because their social anxiety meter has gotten all the way to the top and they need to recharge. So sit this down. So let me look at this. Okay, so I'm just looking up. Actually, I'm not looking up. I already had it up. So, what is social anxiety disorder? Let me just make sure I have it right here. I'm just looking at it. Um, that's funny how they, in some cases, they don't have the definition right there. But okay, there it is. All right, so I'm gonna just read this one. This is off the NIH website. Uh, says social anxiety disorder is a common type of anxiety disorder. A person with social anxiety disorder feels symptoms of anxiety or fear in certain or all social situations, such as meeting new people, dating, being on a job interview, answering questions in class, or having to talk to a cashier in the store. Um, so, like I was saying before, it's Eli Drake is oh yeah, Eli Drake in WWE, yeah. So, like I was saying before, it's like having that fear, that nervousness, that you're not sure how to feel in a certain situation where you're going to be out in public. I mean, like the definition pointed out, it could be just going to the store, walking in, and you see a whole bunch of people, and you clam up, start sweating, your heart starts racing. Sometimes you get this like nervous, ill feeling in your stomach, um, and you can't really concentrate. I'm like, these can happen all at once. It can happen one. All these symptoms can happen separately. It can be whatever. Um, it can go from just needing a drink to calm those fears down, or it can go from I'm not going to make it out tonight type of debilitating, or like I said, calling out from the job. And just put it out there, and it is, even though it is a form of phobia, it's some of the symptoms of it, it's really normal to feel. I know when, like, before football games, like whenever, well, I still play, but when I was playing in high school, playing in rec leagues, baseball, all the different sports, I always had this nervousness before the game. It's always good to get butterflies. That was always described as a normal thing. But you went and you were able to get over it, especially as a kid. You're really not even thinking about it. I think as you get older, you start to realize what it is and internalize it. And I think a lot of folks that tend to internalize it are folks like, I'm not going to say all introverts uh, suffer from this internalization of this fear, but as the name suggests, that personality type is susceptible to that because most fears are internalized first before they're realized. So a lot of times you need support when you go out. Like, it's good to go out someplace with friends. Somebody has your back. It's hard to go to places alone where people you don't know, you're not sure. You start thinking like phantom things. Like I said, fear. Like, you start thinking like, oh, they're probably looking at me when no one gives a shit about you. Oh, I wonder if they see something on my shirt, or I don't know how I'm supposed to act. Some people, it comes off as looking socially awkward in situations. Like, like let's say this hot chick walks up to you and you're in this moment and she's really feeling you, but you're like, and you act clammy and you're stuttering all over the place. And it's not because you think she's attractive, it's the fact that you're scared to death. So, like I was saying, thank God, it's like almost like a godsend to have technology the way it is. It's almost, it's like a gift and a curse if you think about it. You have a chance to interact with people without being in their presence. So a lot of time other people's energies feed into your fears. So if you're behind a computer screen like I'm doing right now, you don't feel this extra energy in the room that could cause you to clam up. Um, you don't have that traumatic experience that grows with each passing moment, being out in a place that you're not completely steady or sure about. Um, let's see. My personal twist on this, just to throw this in there. Now, I talk to Bills about a lot of things, but I look at my form of social anxiety, and sometimes I do come off as socially awkward. Um, my form of social anxiety comes from an auto accident I was in. It was back in 2009 when I was in a car accident. So my social anxiety is actually a symptom of, and I was actually diagnosed with this. It was the doctor at the time diagnosed it as a minor form of PTSD. So that's a post traumatic stress disorder. So that's something that you usually hear about with in the military, with soldiers, wartime, uh, dealing with violence on the battlefield, gunfire, friends dying, being blown apart. You really heard about this in Vietnam. A lot of Vietnam soldiers came back with a lot of mental issues of PTSD and stuff like that, and it's still an issue today. My Like I said, mine wasn't in the military. I didn't serve overseas. I served stateside, but mine took place after I was in the service, car accident, in which this is where normal folks experience a form of PTSD. If they're in like traumatic events, like a car accident, or like people who experience sexual molestation when they're young and they grow up and they have these tendencies as when they're adults, that you know they become afraid when somebody's about to touch them. It's kind of like get away from me type of feel. And I kind of get that feeling, and whenever I get behind the wheel of a vehicle, I'm able to get over it because I've spent years teaching myself, and you know I spent years teaching myself how to deal with those stressors. But it enabled the social aspect of those anxieties. So I was able to get over the driving fears, but because I didn't go out as much, because I started interacting more behind a computer screen and texting instead of through a phone call and stuff like that, the social aspect, the anxiety part of my PTSD actually grew as the driving aspect shrank and is merely non-existent. So social anxiety in my instance had an originator in PTSD. Some people it just pops up out of nowhere. Like all of a sudden they have this fear of heights. Somehow they just had this fear of being in public places. They had like different names for some of these other fears, like the fear of being in public places was like agophobia, I think was the name of it. I could probably look it up later, but And I had a research article I had bookmarked and I can't even find it. Goddamn Internet Explorer and Google Chrome and whatever bookmark feature, and you can't even find it anymore. But I understand there's ways to be able to cope with it. Like I said, my experience, I was able to cope with the driving aspect of my anxiety, but I'm still dealing with the actual social aspect of it now, and this pandemic just made it worse. We we were talking about just social anxiety without the pandemic. Now you have the pandemic, it adds a new twist to things. Did you get your shots? Why aren't you wearing your mask? Oh my God, that person could be. It's just like the AIDS epidemic all over again, as far as those fears that either are real or imagined. And a lot of the social anxiety, most of it tends to be imagined, but there is a legit internal fear that may come from lack of confidence, could come from past experiences. Like I said, that the molestation example that I mentioned earlier, just for example, could be something that manifests later on in life. Now, I'm not a trained psychologist, so this is just doing research and looking and trying to interpret for myself. But I'm sure you guys have thoughts and have not necessarily questions, because I'm not the expert. I'm just some dude on YouTube and Twitch that decides to talk about it and provide a platform for it. So it's one of those things where everyone's experience is going to be different. Everyone's fears is going to be different. The seriousness of the anxiety could be different. We can talk about what happens on the job. Um, when I worked at a gym, I dealt with hundreds and hundreds of people every single day. I didn't have time to have social anxiety. But like I was saying, to leave that job, go from dealing with hundreds and hundreds of people and getting used to people and being around people to nearly zero. And then I think for 6 months driving, which kind of enabled that driving anxiety, social anxiety, and then going to strangers' houses to make deliveries and possibly be in their house for like 30 minutes to an hour only added to the actual person to person social anxiety. And then being in places where I wasn't sure what to do and whatnot, being in places that I think a person like me would not be in, like in the backwoods someplace, would add to a little bit to the social anxiety. Like, okay, if somebody kills me, no one will be able to find me out here in the backwoods of Virginia somewhere. Or, oh wow, I ran to this ghetto ass place somewhere in Annapolis. Didn't even know it was back here. All these nice houses, and I go a little too far, and I'm in the hood now. So it's like I said, some of this stuff could be real, some of it can be imagined, but it always stems from somewhere. And a lot of people experience it whether they know it or not. And I think at the end of the day, there needs to be awareness of it. I believe that people need to understand that in a ways it's the new norm to be the experience anxiety of some type. It's perfectly okay. It's just fine. Um, Hopefully you learn to deal with it. I know in some cases you have to you have to use medication because it could be crippling to where you need medication. Um, I'm glad I'm not at that point. I kind of, like I said, I've learned to deal with anxiety through meditation, listening to music, uh, laughing. Like, just humor sometimes helps. Like, if you ever, like, okay, I noticed that your announcers, your commentators on the news, they are experiencing anxiety as you watch them talk. You may not see it, but if you ever get a chance and they got their whole body in mind, look at their hands. Where do they have them? Do they have them up, like tight, close to them? Are they kind of like closed off, their hands with their arms clasped around their chest? Do they kind of have their hand to the side and they're kind of like fidgeting? Or if they fidget a little bit, or if there's some type of tick going on, that could be a form of anxiety that that person is feeling at that moment in time. And that also goes into reading body language. And my background in communication studies, that's what I looked at. And as a personal trainer, I'm also looking at that too, because I need to know if a weight is too much for a person, if a person's, if the exercise is too easy. I need to look and study how a person operates. But also understanding that that's also part of the fear as a client in a personal training situation, is that social fear of, am I doing enough? Am I being successful? Am I doing this right? Not being sure of themselves. A lot of it just stems from just not being sure of yourself. Um, I know in regular cases, it is a lack of self assurance. Shoot, hell, doing YouTube videos and doing live streams really is not easy. I'm sure people get up here and they do it, and it's like, oh, I could do this all day, da 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 da, I can entertain the fans or whatnot. But I know they are nervous as hell because a million and one things go wrong. The audio can go wrong. They may not like their voice. They may not feel like they present themselves well. I have a fear that a lot of times I may not pronunciate correctly, and that could be magnified if I hear myself, and then I may not want to speak more often. Um, I know people project complexes onto people. That adds to social anxiety. I'm like, look, I'm bald. Yes, I am balding, and I know that in the gaming community, there's a group of people that like to add a complex to people who are bald, and I take it as for shits and giggles, but the next person may not, and it just adds to their fear of actually either speaking up when they probably have something good to say. So there's like a 6 degrees of separation when it comes to how social anxiety spreads, how it festers in people, and how it eventually results in either people not speaking, not showing up. The extreme case, people committing suicide. So, and then the suicide part pretty much comes from, if I remember correctly, definitely through the military with the veterans that come home and they have major cases of PTSD. And I'm like, there was a statistic that actually went with a push-up challenge that was like 22 veterans a day commit suicide from PTSD because they're left untreated. They're left like they're not looked after. They're not, properly cared for coming home from battle or from overseas in a wartime, up in a war front, in a conflict zone or whatnot. So you also have to think about car accident victims, rape victims, uh, abuse victims, domestic violence victims. Anybody who's suffered any traumatic event will also deal with social anxiety in some ways. I'm like, just to go to the Sean Watson case. Now, let's just say that everything that these women are saying is true. And I saw the one woman get up and she spoke, and she's crying. She's showing all the emotions of someone who was abused in a situation. Now, let's say that that's 100% true, what happened. She will suffer from a form of social anxiety whenever anybody requests services. That was me. Oh, excuse me. So she will experience a form of social anxiety to where she will probably not do her job as comfortable as she was doing it before. If she continues to in that career field, she may do something else. She may hide. She may take the drugs. And it's like I talked about, people taking care of their social anxieties through medication. That doesn't rule out alcohol and other drugs, starting with marijuana. Marijuana is not a bad thing, as long as it's in balance. But it could lead. Not saying it could lead, but that person could be like, you know what? Let me try something else, and they'll start doing crack, then meth, and then heroin, and then all, and then they'll probably mix it all together, and then all hell breaks loose. So I know I said a lot, and I wanted to, like I was saying before, bring it to the forefront in the best way I know how. Again, I'm not an expert, I'm not a psychologist, just some regular ass dude on YouTube, on Twitch, uh, bringing this to you guys so that you can either spread the message, continue the discussion, find out in your own way how you've been dealing with your anxiety, share with others. Um, they already have communities for this, but I think we already have formed a community of sorts. I'm like, we're all socially awkward in some form or fashion. I don't care if you're an A-list celebrity, as I fumble over that, and or if you're the janitor, or you're homeless, or you're not even a citizen of this country. So I look at it as we can all help each other by just talking about it, getting it out in the open. Don't be afraid. Don't be in the dark about this. It's best that you come out, be as transparent as you can. If you don't want to reveal everything, that's fine. Because trust me, I don't think you want to reveal everything that went on in your life that led you to have certain fears and certain anxieties, but it does help to talk about them and get them out. Your best friend, whoever you can trust, the best thing is to talk to somebody about it that you trust. Trust somebody that will understand, that will listen. That's the most important thing. If you talk with somebody, make sure they're good at listening and that's what they will do. Because some people, when you tell them about certain issues, they want to try to fix what's wrong with you. And it's like, no, I didn't come to you to fix my issues. I came to you to bounce these issues off of you so I can get them out. So I don't do something else possibly down the road because I'm not able to get these out. And I just want you to listen and understand. That actually helps with social anxiety. Just like I was saying at the very beginning, just having a support group, like you go out with friends, that's your support group. That's the group of people that will keep you hyped. Those are the people that be like, no, man, we got this. We're good. And that's how that works. So we've reached the hour mark, and well, we're way past the hour mark. And just to let you guys know, I was able to get the first shot of the vaccine. My arm is sore as shit right now. And I was feeling tired earlier, so it's doing its job. I figured one thing I explained to my aunt when I was talking to her earlier she was saying I was just explaining why my arm is sore. I'm like, it's the fact that when you get a needle injection, it's an injury. The muscle is protecting itself. It's going to tighten up to protect the area and help with the blood flow. And that's where you have to keep moving my arms and stuff like that, help with the healing process. But before I go, one last thing I do want to say, because I know there's probably going to be more talk of social anxiety, hopefully through other channels, hopefully um, through other like my followers, people who subscribe to me on YouTube and on Twitch. But one thing I will say, because I have to definitely tell you about this, and I don't have a banner for it, so I'll just tell you straight up. I've been back on NHL 21, messing with sliders, and yeah, I actually feel like I found another green zone with these sliders, and I stuck them. I put them in, testing them out, and now I'm playing in the playoffs mode. Already had the current standings is the way they were when I put them together. Of course, I used the Washington Capitals. We're up against the Boston Bruins. So it's funny how this series has gone and how the game has been playing. And I play on full 20-minute periods. So these are long, immersive games that I play in. So I don't even stream them anymore because they are too long for your viewership. You guys prefer the 10-minute period. I hate that shit. So I'm not streaming that shit no more. Because I hate 10-minute microwave periods. That's what's fucking up the coding of the game anyway, because they program the game for these players to operate like there's only 10 minutes each period when the actuality is 20 minutes. Same with FIFA. They do the same thing there. They probably do the shit. They actually do the shit for Madden too. It's the same company. But anyway, I figured 2K is like the only one that doesn't do it. Live didn't do that. But anyway, so this series has has 2 stars in it right now. As far as it's Jacob Vranya. Believe it or not, it's Jacob Vranya because Ovechkin has been like shut down throughout this whole. Like I haven't been able to find him. He's got a lot of shots, but he hasn't been able to put any of them in. And I've had some clean nets that Tuukka Rask just been robbing me left and right. So first game goes into overtime. Backstrom hits home the game winner. We win game 1. This is in Washington. Game 2, same thing. We go into overtime. It was more goals were scored in this one. I think Ovechkin knocks down the game winner in overtime. Probably I think it was the first overtime winner in his career because in real life he hasn't had a game-winning goal in overtime ever. Out of all the goals he didn't score, power play goals, shorthanded goals. I don't think he's been out there shorthanded. 5-on-5 even goals, whatever the situation was, he's never had a game winner in overtime, which is kind of crazy. You think he's right for that, but got him his first. Game 3, first game to end in regulation. We win, I think it was scores 3-2. A back and forth affair. Like this whole, like the first 3 games, back and forth. Matter of fact, all 4 games have been back and forth, but guess what? Game 4, things changed a bit, and it swung in the Bruins' favor. And how they won the game was very dramatic. And it was a mistake on my part. I turned the puck over with seconds left in the third period in a 3-3 game. I forgot who it was who scored the goal, but he scores with 0.7 left in the third period. It's not gonna do it. I wasn't able to sweep the Bruins. And the story of this series has been, okay, the Caps have been dominating. We've been forechecking like crazy, making them work every part of the ice. Game 4, they figured it out. So now, going into game 5, in which we're going back to Washington. Now, there were a couple of changes I made because I noted that my third line wasn't doing well. So I shifted my third line to my fourth line to my third line. This was the adjustments I made in from game 3 to game 4, because my fourth line wasn't getting as many minutes, but my third line was the worst line. So I moved them down to fourth because I usually roll 3 lines anyway. And every now and then I rolled a fourth line. Boston adjusted. And also in the elimination game, they were more offensive, they were more aggressive. Even though I was landing hits on them, I out-hit them, I out-possessed them, but they outshot me, specifically from the second period on. I outshot them 17-15 in the first period. They outshot me 30-28. Actually, 30-28. No. Actually, I'm wrong. I forgot the actual total was, but I know they had 47 shots by the time the end of the game. They started out with 15. I started out with 17. So they outshot me for the rest of the game. But it was the fact that the first 3 games, they were pressing me. Game 4, they sat back. So I had to dump the puck a lot more than I had to in the previous 3 games. I wasn't able to get those long passes like I was able to in the first 3 games by game 4. So I'm thinking going into game 5, they're going to do the same. They're going to give me a third of the ice, but they're not going to allow me to operate within the neutral zone part of the ice, which is where I was killing them. Because I would find these long-ass passes, these saucer passes, and create odd-man rushes. A lot of I would catch people off of line changes with fresh crews coming on the ice. I would give them the pass. They would have gain momentum, pass speed, dust everybody because my team is faster than the Bruins, more skilled, faster. But the Bruins, I think they're smarter, and they figured out. So I had to make changes going into game 5, and I may have to call up somebody that I had benched earlier in the series, and that was Panate, because he was just fucking up, like causing penalties and stuff like that. And that was another thing. They played a clean game, no penalties in game 4. I had 4. They scored on 2 power play goals, which those are the first 2 power plays they had scored on all series long. So that's why I wanted to get out as far as gaming and getting back in the NHL. Other than that, I appreciated everybody that showed up tonight, and I hope everybody has something to take from the social anxiety portion of the show. And I hope everybody had a good time just overall, especially talking about Godzilla vs. Kong. He beat that monkey to death. And yeah, I called Kong a monkey. For all I know, hey, you know what it is? You don't get respect unless you earn it. I can't call the man a gorilla. I'm going to call that man a monkey until he earns that respect. Earn the respect, and then I'll call you a gorilla. Godzilla's beating that monkey to death. Chimp. Matter of fact, that should be isn't that the hierarchy? You got chimp, monkey, gorilla. I think that's the hierarchy, and I don't think Kong earned the gorilla. I think he's a monkey right now. So I don't know. All right, so again, if you want to find me on Twitter, there I am, DJ81. It's showing a fight with Dennis Schroeder. Dude tried to suplex him. That was kind of crazy. He didn't have to. And if you want to find me on YouTube, there I am right there. And if you want to find me on Twitch, right here again. And once again, I am one of the panelists from VF's channel, First and Frame Rates. We go live on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's myself, VF, and Bills, who's currently taking a break. So that's episode 22. And once again, if you want to, don't have to. Do appreciate it when you do. Appreciate it if you don't. So it doesn't matter to me. But I do appreciate everybody stopping by, see, Bills was here, Antonio was here. Anybody got any questions before I go? Because, like I said, I did a lot of talking. I usually don't do that much talking. I know I'd usually talk for a whole hour anyway, but usually I do include everybody in the chat. But think Bills definitely injected a great topic to just go off on, because this was something that, and he knows me very well. So to introduce this topic, actually, it was clutch. So thanks for bringing this up. I know you wanted me to get this in last week, but I had to talk about the Snyderverse. There was no way around it. Plus, by the time you told me, I had already planned it, so it was definitely getting in this week. So Bills, Antonio, Pooh was here earlier, lurking. There was other people here for a little bit, but they didn't say anything. Not even on YouTube, Bama's. So, but anyway, they were probably listening on the mobile and probably couldn't respond. I do appreciate the moment of time that you spent, even though you left, but it is what it is. So that being said, I appreciate everybody being here. You can probably tell by the look on my face, I'm about to run out of steam. But one last thing I will say, fuck you, Houston Astros, bitch. That's all I gotta say about the Houston Astros. That's the ultimate form of revenge, is to beat them for this World Series title. Trash can ass cheaters, punk ass bitches, all that type of stuff. I would hate that team forever now, especially since they never apologized and nobody got punished except people that don't even matter anymore. But anyway, I'm out. You guys have a good night. Be safe. Watch the rest of AEW. And I'll holler at you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow on First and Frame Rates. And I will definitely see you guys next week for episode 23. I wonder if I should make that about MJ. Hey, it is 23. It is my last name. As you see in the background, make sure I get this right. Yep. As you see right there. Yeah, that's a feel. There we go. All right. Good night.